So here we are with our beautiful Meura Mash Filter. So we're the only distillery in Canada that is using a mash filter. And for us, it was important because it helps us reduce our water consumption by almost 30%, as well as energy consumption. And that isn't only related to the brewing, but also the distilling, and I'll explain why and how that happens. Well, with a mash filter, rather than using traditional brewing methods where you are gravity draining liquid off the bottom of your mash tun, we are using a much finer grist. So we basically grind the malt barley into a flour. The flour goes into our mash tun, we mash it. Because we have a finer particle size, we're able to complete the mashing in under an hour. So complete enzymatic activity and all of the starch is converted into sugar within an hour. And then all of that mash, so each batch is about 1,100 liters of mash, is pumped through little 1.5 inch pipe into the mash filter. And then each one of these plates, each one of these spaces between the plates is a gap, and that fills up with our mash. And then we mechanically press it through these air lines. We fill a bladder that pushes against the grain and squeezes all of the liquid out of the grain. And then we collect it in our fermenters, and then we do a second rinse of the grain asparage to remove any residual sugars. And again, we mechanically squeeze it to get the last little bit of sugar out. And that gives us a nearly 100% efficiency in extracting the sugar from the water. But because we're mechanically pressing the grain, it actually reduces our water consumption by up to 30%. And what that allows us to do is actually something that's very, very unique, and I think the future of single malt production. And that is, it allows us to employ high gravity brewing. So because we're reducing our water consumption, what that means is our sugar concentration is significantly higher in our wort. And then we use a special yeast, specifically bred for high gravity, high temperature brewing. That allows us to let our fermenters free rise in temperature. We don't have to cool it because the yeast is specifically designed for higher temperatures and for higher gravities. And so that significantly reduces our energy consumption here at the distillery, but it also makes a wildly flavorful wash. And so we create this tremendous amount of flavor because that high gravity and the high temperatures stress the yeast out. This specific yeast strain's response to that is to produce a ton of fruit flavor. And so not only is it better for the environment, it is also better for our flavor. And then when we're distilling, because we have a higher percentage alcohol starting off in our wash, close to 11%, we're actually using less energy to distill that because we're starting at a higher percentage from the outset. So all in all, this system has been absolutely incredible. We are so happy with the flavors that we've been able to create, and we're excited to start sharing our whiskey with the world.